Welcome to Power Lunch Live. I am Rhett, your host. We do this program every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and this week we'll be doing it on Friday as well on LinkedIn's live platform. We talk to today's thought leaders, best-selling authors, CEOs, people who are doing amazing work in the world. And the whole point of the show is to learn from them, learn their secrets to success so that we can all get better at what we do. Now, the fun part about it is it can be interactive, so you got to ask your questions. And I'm getting a little feedback here, sir. But you got to ask questions in order for it to be interactive. So when you ask questions, our guests can respond. You can get to the heart of what you want to learn and what you want to get from them. And also, if you like the program, give it a like or share so your network can also benefit from these conversations and we can grow. That's a nice thing to do for us if you like the program. Now, we are simulcasting this on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, all with the help of Social Live. So if you don't like LinkedIn, catch it on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, or we're on a couple other platforms, I think, as well. Now, today I have Ben Whitter. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Ben. He's the founder and chief experience officer at the World Experience Institute, and a trusted advisor to CEOs and management and HR teams. He's been featured in Forbes, The Economist, the BBC, the Financial Times. He's spoken, I think, at MIT at the Sloan School of Business there. His book, The Employee Experience, is considered a must-read, I think, for HR leaders and for any manager, because I think it just, to me, it really does give you an idea of what you need to be doing to make sure that you're getting the most, that you're providing an environment for your employees that is second to none. And also, I think when you do that, you see all kinds of benefits, and we'll talk about that today. Ben, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Great to be here.
And I hope I pronounced it right. Did I get the last name right? We didn't get a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's spot on.
Okay, good. Sometimes I have trouble reading, What does employee experience really mean? I have an idea what I think it means, but what does it mean?
That's a good question. I think lots of companies around the world are starting to look at this question and ask it themselves. And I think for organizations, it's very much looking at the touch points and the interactions with their employees, making sure that they're healthy and strong and the connection is robust in that employment relationship. So it's all of that. Experience is everything. And increasingly, we're seeing engagement, that is employee engagement, is being viewed and perceived as an outcome of the experience we have in work. So if we're being productive, if we're healthy, if we're delivering high performance, all of that is connected to the quality of the experience we provide and co-create with our employees.
So, I guess I get intuitively why that's important. I've seen it in my own business, right? But for somebody that's saying, okay, well, that might be great in an office environment or, a place where you got to sit in a cubicle all day. But, I have a factory floor, I have a production, I have people out in trucks doing different things all day. They're barely here. What's the answer to that question? Like, why do I have to pay attention to it? I don't have a lot of people in the office all day. They're out working, maybe they're seeing customers. They're not, I don't have 100 people sitting in cubicles all day.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think to think about that is to go in the shoes of the employee. And we will know automatically if they're not having a great experience. So they could have a very poor manager, they could have a micromanager, they may not have the right tools and equipment to do their job. So there's higher safety incidents, there's more accidents, there's a high level of stress in the workforce, maybe absenteeism, maybe all these outcomes are being generated because we're looking at the experience holistically around the person. So they may not have the right things that are lined up and supporting them to do their best job. And that could be routine. It could be ritualized work. It could be sometimes very mundane tasks. But even in those situations, we can still give people a very positive experience. We can give them a great manager to help them become something more than they thought they were capable of. It could be offering education. It could be helping them in the home and personal life, helping them manage finances. There's all manner of things that we can do as employers to give people and connect to that human experience. I think most employers run into trouble with unions and employee activism and things that they would rather avoid. Usually headlines in the newspaper, I've got to be honest, because they haven't paid enough due attention to the experience and the quality of the experience that any worker is having with the organization. So this applies to everyone.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I don't think you get a pass. I don't think you can get a pass. I guess right.
Oh, we don't have people working in factories. It doesn't matter to us. Forget about it. It matters more.
Right. Actually, with those kind of mundane jobs, it actually requires more, I think. Right.
Yeah. I think to create the holistic employee experience, which is what I talk about and which is based on my research, has found that connection is so powerful. Because we're either creating a strong organization or a very stressed organization. And that stress manifests all manner of different things. If you're looking at the supply chain of certain major companies and corporations that are viewed to be very successful, and you see suicides and mental health issues in the warehouses and manufacturing places, that's not a good employer and it's not a good brand. So again, we're starting to challenge this around, can we really say you're a high-performing organization if people are killing themselves in your factories and your workplaces? Well, I would argue that you cannot go anywhere near that tag. You may get the best awards. You may view yourselves on these influencer lists and these top workplaces. But in the end of the day, it's very much, it's an outcome of the experience. And if people are stressed, if there's all these issues across the organization, then that's not a genuine high-performing organization.
Well, you sort of answered my question there, because my next question to you was, as a leader or manager or what have you, how do you know you've got problems? And you just sort of talked about a few of them. But well, let's say you're not having suicides, but what are some of the other indicators? I mean, I guess high turnover would be a good indicator. What are some of the other ones that that maybe not are huge or are obvious, but what are some things I should look for as a manager?
Well, this is a good one. Good question, because there are so many different indicators of impact that are really demonstrating the tangible outcome of the experiences that we've developed. So it could be all manner of things. Absenteeism is one thing, stress. On the extreme side, we're pushing employees to the brink of existence in terms of some serious issues there. But other things, it could be, you're losing talent to your competitors. You're losing market share, because ultimately one of the biggest indicators of employee experience performance is your market performance. Right. Are we creating an organization that wins in the marketplace consistently? So we're getting that innovation. We could be leaking innovation. We could not be securing those great ideas that enable us to move on to the next level for our growth aspirations and objectives. So it's all connected. It's all these things that, employee experience could be minimizing the risks. So you're preventing headlines in the newspapers, you're preventing employees that want to unionize, but you're also generating innovation and really good market and growth performance. So you're looking at indicators on all sides of that, both positive and negative, that you want to take on board, because if there's no alignment with the truth, so your mission, your purpose, your values, and your employee experience, you're not going to amplify your outcomes. It's not going to be as powerful as it could be.
You're really talking about, to me, it seems it's not a bunch of tactics, right, to improve employee experience. It's actually another system, I think, that you have to think about. You have to think about it in terms of a system, right? It's not just about a bunch of one-off activities or tactics. It's putting a whole thing in place, a whole system in place.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I talk about the holistic employee experience because I think the way employee experience has been viewed so far is that it is tactical. It is a little thing here, a little thing there. But if they're not connected to the business and the people, it's not going to make a difference. So the example I used in an article last week was, is it better to provide a psychologically safe working environment and psychologically safe teams, or should we have a one-off mental health workshop? Would you rather work for a leader that respects you, that works with you, that collaborates with you, that has a human relationship with you, or would you want to go on a one-off leadership workshop that teach you about strategic thinking and whatnot? And I think finally we're getting back to the, we never should have left the basics of good business, and the basics of good business is creating really strong relationships with all stakeholders within our organization, including employees. But they're just one stakeholder of many, because if we focus on customer obsession at the expense of our employees, it's going to damage us eventually. Maybe not immediately, but it'll start to damage us eventually. But then if we forego the shareholders, then that's going to cause problems later down the line as well. So what we talk about within the holistic employee experience is how can we bring all of these stakeholders together to build a real sense of community around a brand and kind of walk forward together. It's kind of idealistic, but it's very practical and pragmatic too. Because like you say, if you do these tactical things all the time, well, the outcome you get is going to be not so strong.
It's minimal. Yeah, right. It's exactly. And people see through that, I think. Right.
Oh yeah. The one of the great examples I see is you have an organization that absolutely burns and churns their employees. Overwork and stress are very common. And then they announce from the learning and development team they're going to have resilience workshops. Every time I see it, I don't know what these people are thinking. But they think that that's the right thing to do to eliminate stress, when actually it's just a coping mechanism for bigger issues, and it kind of masks all that.
Right. It's a Band-Aid. Absolute Band-Aid. So what does that look like when you in the companies you've worked with, you've gone in, you've helped them sort of retool this and rethink this. How do you sort of let's say in a medium-sized company, how do you go about doing that? Would you bring everybody, bring all the people together? What does that look like?
It depends where you start, because I think there's different ways you can approach this depending on who approaches you. And I think who approaches you is often a good indicator of some of the problems. Because if you're getting approached by support functions to come in and do some, it could be journey mapping, it could be design thinking, then I think there's something not quite right potentially within the mandate there. Usually when you see good transformation occur, it's because the CEO and C-suite are leading from the top. So that's when you want to start building from the top and making sure we're creating some kind of movement within the business from the grassroots. And then that's all meeting in the middle. I think too often within HR teams now, the CEO goes to a conference. They hear about employee experience. It's the next best thing. It's fantastic. It's growing. It's this amazing thing. And then they go to the HR director and, what are we doing about employee experience? And that is kind of, okay, we need to do something now. And usually people will start thinking about it, which is good. And then they'll maybe reach out to some consultants who come in, and it's kind of very basic employee journey mapping as a starting point. Okay. Whereas the approach we take is to look at the thing holistically and say, what are our challenges, our unique challenges? How much buy-in do we have from the top, and what can we utilize, and how can we build that mandate for employee experience? And then what kind of structure do we need to move this thing forward? And then you can start having the really meaningful conversations with employees. And I would say co-creation from the get-go is absolutely vital. This is a big step that most people miss. They're usually the traditional HR approach. I don't know if you've worked in organizations, but they tend to develop something within the HR function or within the employee support function. They'll take it to employees and say, look at what we did. What do you think? And straight off that, solving problems that didn't really exist, or problems that weren't really important to employees in the first place. So always we say to HR colleagues that work with us, bring employees into the fold as quickly as you possibly can, and work with your senior sponsors and stakeholders as quickly as you can, and then start to develop it from there.
Yeah, you've got to get the influencers within the business to buy in too, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And within a large scale organization, you can look at network analysis. You can look at the really important people who often don't sit on the organizational structure chart.
Right.
It's the people that share information, that work really positively as advocates and brand ambassadors within the business. And I think that's bring them into the fold quite quickly and get them working with us and to co-create and co-design and co-produce new experiences. Again, that's another big step that's often missed, because I think there's I don't know, it's not an arrogance, but I think this is the way we've always done it within maybe the HR and support function professions. And we come up through a specialism, which is we're told to do certain things at a certain time, engage with employees at a certain time within that framework. For employee experience, it just doesn't work like that anymore. Likewise, consultancies are being challenged because they don't offer that much value anymore, because they're coming in with a pre-wrapped framework that actually doesn't suit our context, and our people, when they see it, they'll reject it quite quickly. So again, this is another development thing within the economy. Consulting firms, they're being challenged like they've never been challenged before, because organizations say, well, we're unique as a business. We have our unique brand. How can you come in and add value to that? As opposed to, oh, what's this organization doing? Or here's a framework, let's apply that and think nothing of our own employees. It doesn't make any sense.
No, I agree. I think that I'm seeing that on the consulting side, right? It is very challenging today. That with that very question, I think. How is technology changing employee experience, and are we in a different era now, where technology, and I'm just curious how it's impacting us for the bad and how it's impacting us for the good, and what changes is it really creating in an employee experience?
I mean, it's a great topic to explore, because the change is fast, it's rapid, and it's taken a lot of companies by surprise. We have HR functions now where all of their administration tasks are being automated. We have robots doing a lot of the HR activity. I looked at a company in Finland. They have a robot that's pretty much the head of HR. No, I'm not kidding. It's a genuine example where they've said, okay, what's the routine work? What's the stuff that HR does on the administration side? Can we give that to a robot, an AI, to sort out some algorithms and some workflows to manage that for us? And yeah, they did. They made the investment, and it's completely changed the very nature of the HR profession and function within this particular context. So I think we'll see a lot more of that. Now, that presents a challenge for HR professionals, because they have to skill up, rapidly, because all of these great things where you naturally assume HR people to be very good at them, actually in practice, it's a mixed picture.
Right.
So it's the human centricity, it's the empathy, it's the design, it's co-creation. It's all these wonderful things that a lot of progressive HR professionals have been doing, and that's been really high quality work. But now we're seeing the entire profession saying, okay, there's so much more to think about now. It's kind of
yeah.
So on that side, technology is very good. It's very disruptive, and it's long overdue. It helps facilitate seamless experiences. So processes that were
Hey, Ben, I think I lost your voice. Do I have you back? I lost your sound, Ben. Can you hear me? No. You want to come back in and come back into go out and come back in, and let's see if we can pick you back up. No sound. We'll try to get this sound sorted out. Sorry about that, everybody. Hey, Ben.
Hi.
Ben? Nope. All right. All right, guys, we're going to get out of the broadcast and come right back in and hopefully pick it right back up.